Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
All matters in this section of the agenda are discussed and will be acted on individually. Members of the public may request to speak on any of these items for up to 3 minutes when called upon for public comment. And again, if you're here in person, speaker's card from City Clerk. If you're online, raise your hand via Zoom. When called upon by the City Clerk, you'll be unmuted. Well, by Zoom, you'll be unmuted and can address. Whether you are here in person or attending via Zoom, when called upon, please give your name clearly for audio recording. If you have any documentation you would like to be distributed to the council, please mail it to City Clerk, 526 C Street, Marysville, 95901. Okay. We now move to item number 7. Recommendation to approve an agreement with William Berry Campaigns for consulting services to assist activities related to a potential ballot measure preparation. Okay, to potential ballot measure preparation. The recommendation is to pass a motion to 1, approve an agreement not to exceed $36,000 with William Berry Campaigns for consulting services to assist with community support, assessment, public engagement, community outreach, and messaging materials for potential ballot measure preparation. 2, authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. And 3, authorize the finance director make a $50,080 in associated supplemental appropriations to the fiscal year 23-24 budget to cover the costs of related activities associated with the effort. I'm presuming that includes the $36,000. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
Okay. And the presenter on this matter is our esteemed city manager, Mr. Jim Schatt.
So as mentioned in the recommendation for this item, staff is recommending that we enter into a contract with William Berry Campaigns. Bill is here tonight for consultant services related to preparing to place a tax measure on the ballot for November of 2024. As most all of you know, Measure C, our 1% tax measure, is due to expire on October of 2026. Measure C generates approximately $4 million in general fund revenue every year now. That amount is roughly a third of our general fund revenue. Measure C has funded the areas that were outlined in the tax measure language. It has allowed the city to provide a significant additional services to the community and do some significant infrastructure improvement projects. Measure C has also allowed the city to build its reserve in excess of 30%, which was our target goal. The loss of this revenue would cause city service levels and investment into infrastructure to likely go back to pre-Measure C levels, which would be very difficult. Because of that, staff recommends that the city enter into an agreement with William Berry Campaigns for his services to assist with community support assessment, as mentioned, public engagement, community outreach, and messaging materials for potential ballot measure in November of 2024. As mentioned, the overall cost for this is roughly $93,580. Mr. Berry's compensation is $4,500 per month, not to exceed $36,000. And his compensation is included in that total amount of $93,580. Mr. Berry is present tonight. He and Mr. Flores and I are prepared to answer any questions the council may have regarding this recommendation.
Okay, before we go to council questions, we now, is Mr. Berry going to speak now? And once Mr. Berry speaks, then what we'll do is we will go to public comment.
Thank you.
And after public comment, the council will be able to ask questions and engage.
Okay.
Sir.
I worked on Measure C in 2016 with many of you back then. With it being up now, we are going to do a couple of things. We want to gauge the opinion of voters of how Measure C was implemented, of the effectiveness of the programs that it funded, and the likelihood of supporting a renewal of Measure C. We're going to hold some town hall meetings, conduct voter opinion surveys, provide information, be all ears for a period of time so we can get as much feedback from voters as we can, draft the language for a new, for a Measure C renewal, should that be indicated to be a thing that voters want, and work with the city attorney and city manager in drafting all legal documents to place it on the ballot.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. We have to go to public.
Okay.
Now, thank you.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, this item is now open to public comment, Madam Clerk.
No public speakers for
Thank
this item.
you. Public hearing is now closed. Councils, members of the council, any questions, comments? I have one. You've mentioned there were two numbers here, but you mentioned a third number that was 90-something thousand. Where's that come from?
93,000 referenced in second to the last. Sorry. 93,580 is the totality of costs associated with this effort. And there is a little bit of complexity to it. Bill's contract is for $4,500 a month, assuming I think that's 8 months worth of work. That's where the 36,000 comes from. The balance is for voter data lists, opinion surveys, direct mail, handouts, material, web design, the expenses associated with the information gathering and public input. That totals $93,580, and it's broken down in the contract. We will pay those, everything other than the $36,000 directly to those providers. There is a small portion of it that won't be experienced in this budget year. And so it will be programmed in the following budget year. And I think that's 2 months, 2 months worth of bills cost.
I think it's about 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Because it's October. So 3 or 4 months will be programmed into the following budget year.
Is there any analysis? 2 points here. Thank you. Will there be any analysis of who is paying? Who is paying this sales tax? Now we know residents of Marysville are certainly paying this when they make purchases here, or when they take delivery from, say, Amazon or some delivery service, and the item is delivered into this tax zone. But we also know that a significant number of the top 20 sales tax payers are along the Highway 20 and Highway 70 corridors. And therefore, there are people who are passing through and either stopping at McDonald's or a filling station or a convenience store associated with a filling station. Will there be any effort to understand what portion of this is being paid by outside parties? I don't know that you're going to be able to do that, but
I'll work with the city manager and see if what the current data that is available to see if we can figure out the precise percentage that would be paid by those that don't live within the zip codes of Marysville.
And to further Bill's comment, in reading historical documents, at some point that was estimated in prior efforts for the previous measures. I'm not exactly sure how that was done.
Be interesting to see.
I would surmise, though, that we'll have to enlist our experts at HDL to help with that. It may not be in Bill's primary bailiwick, but our financial tax folks might be able to help us ascertain that.
As I recall, the city was on the verge of failing financially when this was originally passed. And since it does constitute approximately, you say, a third general fund revenues, I'm trying to imagine how the city could endure as an independent entity. And if it failed, presume through one step or another, the keys would be passed to the county and the city would become part of the county where the same tax prevails.
And to your point, Mayor, the county's tax is 1%.
It's the same.
Same as ours, and we are targeting the same 1%. So there would not be a tax increase to.
No, well, the thing is, there wouldn't, if indeed it wasn't passed and the city failed financially and did not continue as an independent entity, then I don't know what the exact steps would be, but I presume the city would become a vassal of the county and subject to the same tax of the county.
I would surmise that no matter how that happened mechanically, that our residents would end up paying the 1% county tax.
That needs to be, I think that should be analyzed also. And it should be considered by those who are being polled on this matter. Any other questions or comments?
Through the chair.
Sir.
Besides what we're possibly going to contract with WBC, was there any other funding that we were spending on this particular?
Oh, entirety is 93,580. Of that, up to 36,000 will be billed. In the agreement, it lists all of the other expenditures,
Okay,
which we will pay directly to serve.
that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the will of the council?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
And seconded. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, I saw unanimous vote on that. Thank you. Okay, I treated that one like a public hearing, but it was not. Now we're going to move to a public hearing. Public hearing on 2 items. And all matters, again, in this section of the agenda are formal public hearings and will be acted on individually. Members of the public may request to speak. Thank you. On each of these items. The first item, item number 8 on the agenda, repealing and enacting chapter 5.48 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Massage Establishments and Massage Therapists. Quote, close quote. Recommendation, pass a motion to 1, introduce an appropriately numbered ordinance for first reading. 2, set February 6, 2024 for second reading and consideration for adoption. And then 3, waive the first and second reading of the ordinance authorizing the changes to chapter 5.48 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Massage Establishments and Massage Therapists. And our very fine Chief of Police, Mr. Christian Sachs, will speak on this. Sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, we are recommending, as you stated, all 3 of those for the first reading, the second reading on February 6th, and then the third option is to waive the first and second reading for the ordinance 548. So we're repealing or request is to repeal and reenact the massage ordinance. Specifically, there was some grammatical stuff that we needed to change. However, the biggest changes within the ordinance come on the administrative fees and assessments. Also outlining the enforcement official as a definition in there, because we wanted to add administrative fees for these establishments. Our current ordinance doesn't have any administrative penalties. So when they are violating the municipal code, there is no sanction for them except for revoking their license or suspending their license and going through an appeal hearing. So we wanted to add administrative fees. We've had several investigations within the last year to 2 years on the local establishments. There was three establishments. Now we're currently down to 2. We shut one of them down and suspended their license. And so these investigations take a great length of time, and we're seeing several violations where they're violating the code. And therefore, if we want to add the administrative fines and assessments so we can be able to not only educate them, but have a process in place where we can be able to assess those fines at this point.
Thank you. Let's see. Proper step here is to open the matter to a public hearing. It's now matters open to public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No public speakers for this item.
Public hearings are now closed. Okay. Gentlemen, if I may, I'd like to ask our city manager, have you spent much, if any, time on this?
I have spent some time on it. Basically, what I see is we're having to expend significant amount of effort in law enforcement to manage and regulate these people and deal with the violations which seem to be prevalent within the industry. And we're simply wanting to recover our costs for those investigations, and that's what these fees are about. I believe we're also raising the permit fee for these establishments as well.
That's the recommendation on the next item in the fee schedule. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Council members, any comments, questions? Noting none. Oh, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Chief, on this, just to be sure, and I understand the ordinance, but all we're really looking to change here at this point is that there can be administrative fines, correct?
Correct.
Because I'm not seeing that there's really anything else that's being changed.
Administrative fines are being added and the process for them to appeal that. And then the other section that we removed was the transfer section, because the old ordinance allowed them to transfer the business from one person to another. And we want to combat that and not allow them to transfer. We want to have full authority to approve the new people coming in.
So, and I know exactly we're talking about that license just being changed from family member to family member a lot of times. So are you saying that change will be, they can't do that without coming in for a license approval or some type of an approval, or it can't be done?
Correct. So it can't be done whatsoever. So if they give up their massage establishment and walk away or close the door, then we treat it as a brand new application and everybody goes through the same process.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and again, we are motion recommendation is to introduce an ordinance, first reading, set February 6th for a second reading, and then waive the first and second reading, establishing the proposed changes to chapter 5.48 of the Marysville Municipal Code. What is the will of the council?
I give a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, that was unanimous. Okay, the next item for public hearing is number 9 on the agenda, amendment to the city's current fee schedule. The recommendation is pass a motion to have the council conduct a noticed public hearing to receive comments regarding proposed changes to the City of Marysville fee schedule, and 2, adopt an appropriately numbered resolution to adopt the fee schedule with the recommended changes and rescind all resolutions in conflict therewith. And again, I'll read that. To have the council conduct a noticed public hearing above and beyond what we're doing here today, I presume, to receive comments regarding proposed changes to the fee schedule, then to adopt an appropriately numbered resolution to adopt the fee schedule. Okay, Ms. Jennifer Stachinsky, our very fine finance director, is going to clarify all of that. What's going on?
So it's a public hearing. What we're doing is the staff regularly looks at our fee schedule to see if what changes need to happen for city services that are being provided. The last fee schedule update we did was June of 2023. So also included in the staff report, every item that we're requesting to be changed, we had a brief description about what those are. There are several listed, so I'm just going to go over some of the most significant highlighted items that we're asking to change. The first one does come per Chief Sachs, is we are updating all the fees under the massage technician and training establishments.
Pardon me. To presenting these items now, proposal is to present these items in a separate venue, separate meeting. That's the way I read it. And do it now. Council conduct the notice public hearing to, not presuming a second public hearing. Council conduct the notice public, this public hearing.
Correct.
You should have said this public hearing. Okay, confused me. I think I'm all that done. Okay, here we go. We're doing this now then.
Correct, we are doing this now.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. I'll make sure we get that clarified in the next public hearing when we have another fee schedule change on that. So we are asking to increase the fees per the ordinance coming out, and also to establish an annual application fee that has not been included in the past. I looked back at old fee schedules, and I went back to 2008, and the fees that we currently have in there go back to 2008. So they have not been amended since then. The second one is we're also looking to update the lighting charges for when people rent Bryant Field and the softball fields. And again, in looking back at old fee schedules, it's been since 2008 since this fee was also updated. And then our largest one is after we worked with our marketing consulting firm, which is Sapphire Marketing, we started to look at the 1 and 2 day events or the Peach Festival. And we wanted to start to increase them to align with other venues that are in this area. So right now it's an updated fee of between $50 and $100. And we've also separated out in the current fee schedule. It says 1 and 2 day events. We've separated. So it's a 1 day event, 2 day and 3 day event. So we can separate out if people only choose to do 1 day. And the other part with that is we also added some different space sizes for like a food vendor. What we used to do is if they needed 4 spaces, we would take the $249 times 4 and we would charge them $996. With this, we actually will do a quadruple space or a triple space so that we can encourage more people to come in and actually get a little bit of a discount for that space, because several food vendors have told us that they do not attend the event because they cost so much because their vehicles take up a lot more room. So it's also making it more accommodating for getting more vendors in for the Peach Festival and to bring those. So those are the highlights. Again, there's several that are listed within the fee schedule. And if you have any questions, I'm open to answer them. We also have Carrie out with Sapphire online if we have any questions about changing Peach Festival fees. And of course, Chief Sachs, if we have questions about massage fees.
Yeah, just a moment. Well, that will wait for a public comment. That's the presentation. Public hearings now open. Madam Clerk, any
No speakers on this item,
questions?
Mayor.
Public hearings now closed. Council members, comments? I have one quick one. Add body cam recording fee of $34 per half hour. What's that?
So currently with our body worn camera program, there is certain body camera footage that is accessible to the public under public records request. So therefore, if it, or some people are using it for civil court. And so that video is downloaded into our system. So it's the hourly rate for personnel is $68. So we charge $34 per half hour, depending on how many videos there are and how long it takes to retrieve, review, redact, and then download that video and get it to the requesting party.
So that's per half hour of video?
Per half hour of personnel time.
Aha, okay. I understand. That was my only question. Any other questions or comments? Sir.
So any contract that we already have signed will still fall within the past fee schedule?
Yeah, the contract would typically override the fee schedule. And I'm guessing you're talking about the baseball fields and lighting. Those contracts would stand on their own as far as the lighting fees. This would be primarily if we in between their events allow somebody else to use the
would be
field.
with the new schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's based on actual cost to us.
Correct. Okay. And then the on the clean up the language within the alarm systems section, I didn't see anything that showed what that was. Just briefly, what are we talking about? Because I get one of those every year. I'm trying to understand what the change would be.
The change in the alarm one was the very last fee was an oversight from before. So the way that it reads, we redacted it out of there because it was like the 10th violation. You're going to get fined because you don't have an alarm permit, but that was in the if you don't have an alarm permit section. So you already don't have one, right? So, I mean, it's one of those, it was just a repeat in the section above it. So we repealed it.
Getting it in the right.
Yeah, so we deleted that part of it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Noting none, what's the will of the council?
I move to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
And seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, unanimous. Okay, if I'm reading things correctly, we are now the committee appointments. Did that require action? Didn't think so. It's there. Fine. We now move to committee reports and comments. We'll do it in order here. Mr. Belza, sir.
Yeah, as far as committee reports, I have none. Things have been fairly quiet through the back half of December and early parts of January. So as far as comments and requests, though, I would like to bring up something that I think it would behoove us to entertain somewhere in the next couple of months. But shortly after Mr. Shad took his city manager role, we had a strategic planning meeting in which we laid out lots of different goals and strategies, ideas, different things we wanted to accomplish. And that was roughly 3 years or coming up on 3 years ago. I think you and I have talked a little bit about this last fall, but I think it would behoove us to revisit some of those goals and see where we stand with some of them, maybe reset the bar on other topics, but just kind of recap on some of those items and keep that trajectory moving forward. So a bit of a request, just as it fits in, maybe we can
Laid out
look at
lots of
something here in the
different
coming
goals and
months.
strategies,
And
ideas, different things we wanted to accomplish.
other than
and
that,
was rough.
I got a lot of really good feedback and lots of really great comments in regards to our Ellis Lake Town Hall on this last Saturday. Looking forward to the next one, and encouraged to see a lot of the progress that's happening with that venture. And thank you to staff keeping us rolling through the holiday season. Lots of good things going on. So I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Gilchrist.
I have no committee reports. I do have some council comments. Town hall meeting in Elks Lodge was great. It's a great location to hold the town hall meetings. And hopefully we look forward to doing more of those. I too got positive feedback on the Ellis Lake planning meeting. This is one of 3. Looking forward to announcing the second date. I do have a request. I would like city manager to give me a general plan update on how we're doing with the general plan, especially our noise ordinance, as I have received a few emails from some residents that are concerned about the noise in some areas, and I won't get into specifics, but I would like to get an update on our general plan update. And my last request is the replacement of light bulbs in our city street lights. We'd like to see the status on that. I haven't really received any information on that, and I'd like to know where we are with that. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hudson.
I have absolutely zero community comments, as I avoided them all during our recess. I appreciate the recess that we had. I forgot that we had a recess every winter. So it was a much needed sabbatical. So with that, choose not to share more, even though I have lots more to share.
Okay, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I also have no committee reports. Haven't been in a committee for 2 months now. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. I know I had a great time on top of a birthday that I got to throw in there myself. And the only request that I have is where we're sitting. I want to make sure that the city manager hears this.
Sorry.
I just where we're at with the 22nd Street, in my opinion, debacle at the moment. And moving forward, I get more on that project than probably any other project.
Are we talking about the traffic circle?
We're doing. So just like either we have a conversation at some other point or get an update on.
I can give you one tonight, and fortunately, our public works director and our city engineer are here to help me with that.
Good. And that's it. Thank you.
Want to address that now?
I can, or actually I'll wait because I'll talk about the street lights too. Want me to go?
No.
Okay.
Save it for your speech at the end. First of all, the gathering at the Elks Club, Mr. City Manager, that is actually a requirement of the grant, is it not? What is that called?
Those meetings are typically called public input meetings. They're not a town hall, and they're an opportunity for the public to speak and the city to listen. So we probably should call them public input meetings rather than town hall. The town hall would be something that our council leads, and it would be a regular scheduled meeting.
So a requirement of the grant, and
It's a requirement of many grants, and it will certainly be a requirement for many of the grants we apply for in the future.
And useful. I walked into that meeting just a few minutes late, 3-4 minutes late. And I was stopped for a second because the room was full. And I think someone told me they counted 125 attendees, which, given the interest shown by all of them, and I was privileged to chat with a lot of people after the meeting, high level of engagement. I believe the city council was well represented. Mr. Shedd certainly was there. As you can see in this morning's Appeal Democrat, and by the way, that was that meeting was covered in excellent fashion by the appeal, and many thanks to them and compliments. The lake is so important to this city, and it's right now people love walking around the lake, but right now the path is about this wide, which means it's a conga line, one behind the other, instead of something. And most people like to walk with someone side by side and chat. And that is one of the clear objectives of the work that will be done. Beyond that, the beauty and stateliness of the lake is important to the city. I know it's important to me, not just because I live on the lake, but most of the time I grew up living in East Marysville, and the lake was always important to me in terms of a source of pride. And for it to continue to be a source of pride, work needs to be done. It's as simple as that. And we're very fortunate to have secured some grants through the good offices of our management team. And we're looking for more because it will take more. And it is absolutely critical to the city. And people I've met with, most of the people I met with were from Marysville. However, I've met with a few people from Yuba City who the lake is so important to them, they showed up. And so it's a community asset. And it's, I'm going on here, but I think it's really important. And the meeting was wonderful. Our consulting landscape engineer is Jessie. I can't pronounce her last name. Is just an absolute jewel. She is so talented, and the ideas she's coming up with, and the city people, our city manager, public works director, and others, city engineer, are all actively engaged, and we're very fortunate to have the resources and the talent, both the financial resources and the talent, being dedicated to that. That's my comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any council correspondence?
We do. Thank you, Mayor. Each member of the council has received an invitation to a thank you gala on Saturday, January 27th at 5:30 for Tri-Counties Community Center, with more details in your inboxes here at City Hall.
Mr. City Manager, I'll bet you have something to share.
I have a few things. First of all, on Ellis Lake, we're tentatively scheduling a second meeting for public input on the lake on February 10th of 2024. We're still working through the time, but probably the same time and the same venue at the Elks Lodge. We'll have announcements coming out before that happens, similar to what we did this go around. The 5th Street Bridge, we are closing the eastbound lanes this Saturday unless we have rain, which it may be delayed. And I forget the time frame, Mr. Carraza.
Yes, City Manager. So it'll be 6 a.m. to 3 p.m.
So most of the day on Saturday, we're trying to minimize the impact across the bridge, but this is to put in additional safety warning devices in front of the gore under the bridge where we've had multiple crashes into the crash cushions. And there, I believe, a radar feedback sign on the bridge as well. And we are working closely with Yuba City staff, public works staff to do that.
Pardon me, sir, will the radar feedback sign collect data?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you can have historical data on those.
So we're going to know how fast everybody's going.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Gavin Park Phase 2. We'll be bringing a proposal to council likely next meeting to add some amenities, including a slide, a tot lot, and some other equipment. So you'll see that coming. The lead time on that equipment is anywhere from 16 to 20 weeks. So all goes well and approval through council, then it would likely be installed midsummer timeframe. We also have a sewer line issue on Greeley Drive, roughly 350 feet. That is going to require some urgent repair. So either we will do that under the emergency repair provision or bring it to council in the regular meeting or scheduled meeting on depending when we're doing it. That is going to be roughly $160,000 to replace that sewer line. And it would come out of the bond. But we're intending to take it out of the bond funding, the $3 million excess in bond funding that we had. That was what that money was really intended to be used for. Also, the traffic light on 14th and E, we will be asking to replace that as well prior to us successfully subrogating with the insurance company. We do intend to recover that money, but we'd like to get the light repaired and back in service. I know there's been some discussion of leaving it in flash, and that is still an option with the new one. We do have a grant, though, that we are obligated to already to do some before and after. So we may be switching it from one phasing to another, including the flash, to see what really slows traffic down. So we also, Edible Memories on, is it 3rd? Is having a ribbon cutting tomorrow at 10 a.m. and encourage everybody to participate in that. I am also in working with our community development director looking at scheduling a long discussed developer tour joint with Yuba County somewhere in the late March timeframe. Keep you guys posted on that. Regarding council questions, first of all, street lights. I know that I provided a list of street lights to our person in the audience, and she has provided feedback on which ones were still in either not fixed or not fixed completely. And I have passed that on to our public works director, who will be working on that as well. If you would like that information, we could certainly provide that. Councilmember Gilchrist. Any more on that, Vincenzo?
I can get that to Council Gilchrist within next week.
Okay, and then the infamous 22nd Street debacle. We heard from various sources that the bike lane towards the curb was not well received, and we have adjusted, and we will be putting the bike lane on the in between the parking and the traffic lanes as traditional. Mr. Mallon and MHM have redesigned that. They have drawings showing what that looks like. I think it will fairly closely resemble Chime, if you drive down Chime, more traditional. Minimal striping, restriping required. But we have not finished the striping. When we decided to go from or to swap the parking and the bike lane, we stopped striping. And so, of course, then it started raining, which is not conducive to that operation. The other thing that happened was when they finished construction of the roundabouts, they weren't prepared to put in the numerous traffic control signs and striping on the roundabouts. And for some reason, they took all of the cones away. We've temporarily put the cones back, and similar to the striping, we're just waiting for the contractor to get out there and put the appropriate yield and roundabouts signal or signage out there. I think based on my conversations with constituents, that's the biggest problem, is there's really no marking saying what's going on there. So, John, any update on the contractor? So John, Vincenzo, and I met this afternoon, and John is going to push the contractor to get out there and finish that up. Of course, weather permitting, particularly on the striping. That's where we're at with that. And that's all I have.
If I may,
Me too.
I appreciate the characterization of some of the entrance off of 20, but overall, that's been nice work on 22nd so far, and on Chime and what have you. In fact, it's been very welcome, I'm certain, in the neighborhood. It's just, there's a little fine tuning required on the traffic circle. Our next regular meeting of the,
I'd like to add that we looked up the amount of signs that are going to be installed by the subcontractor, and there will be 25 signs installed, yield right-of-way signs, et cetera. So that's a lot. So that's 25 signs that are not up yet, just in that one 3-block area.
there we go. Next regular meeting of the council will be Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, 6 p.m. And we hope to arrange for a presentation by the owner-operators of the training zone on their new location. The agenda for that meeting will go out on the 2nd, I believe, February 2nd. And I'm informed as of this morning that the management plans a hard transition date of February 3rd. And so they will be in business there. I was fortunate to be shopping next door at the Save Mart and ran into Mr. Gill, and I got a tour about 6 weeks ago. What was happening there? It's really exciting what they're doing. It's going to be something worthy of a presentation here at the council, and they've been invited to make a presentation. Okay, with that, this meeting's adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.